Welcome to Mindful Objective, the podcast where we uncover the root causes of health issues as we explore holistic solutions to help you reclaim your health. I'm Dr. Daniel Sproul, Integrative Health Practitioner and Professor, and I'm joined by Gerardo Ortega. Today on Real Talk, we're diving into a critical topic, prepping for health, why having a stockpile of essential medications and supplements is just as important as having food and water when it comes to preparedness. A quick medical disclaimer. This podcast is for informational, educational purposes only, and we do not diagnose, cure, or treat any illness or disease. Let's go ahead and get started. So, hello, Gerardo. How you doing?
Yeah, how's it going? Good. Thank you. Thank you for having me again.
Yeah, so you're enjoying this weather. One day it's 60 degrees. Next day it's snowing.
One day I had shorts on and a short sleeve shirt, and then it went to let me put on long sleeves and pants, and then the following day was thunderstorms. Not fun at all.
But you were prepared.
I was prepared. That is correct.
All right, so let's get started. Prepping isn't just about stocking up on food and water. It's about making sure you have what you need to stay healthy during emergencies. Imagine this. A cyber attack shuts down a major pharmacy system. You go to refill your blood pressure medication, but the system is down. No one can process your prescription, and you only have a few pills left. What do you do?
This scenario isn't just a possibility. It has happened before. It could be a cyber attack, like shortage, a natural disaster. Having your medications ready is just important as stocking up on food and water.
Yeah, so it's something that not a lot of people think about. Do you ever think about that side of things?
I do, but I also know a guy that's well prepared that I could just go over to his compound.
Yeah, that's how it needs to be. And so in this episode, we'll break down how to build medical supply plans, what medication and supplements to prioritize, and how to work with your doctor to ensure you always have at least a 90-day supply. We will also talk about storing supplies like water, food, and first aid essentials to keep you fully prepared. Integrative health isn't just about managing illness. It's about supporting overall well-being and taking proactive steps to maintain health issues before they arise. And that includes making sure you're not caught off guard when access to medication and healthcare is disrupted. So by the end of this episode, you have a clear action plan to start prepping for your health and well-being, just like you would for emergency for food and water shortage. Because in a crisis, the last thing you want to worry about is whether or not you have life-saving medications. So one thing to pick on is one podcast that got me into podcasting is Casual Preppers. So shout out to Cam and Kobe over there. They kind of helped me kind of get the podcast ball rolling with the right equipment and stuff to use. So thankful to them. But that's a great podcast if you're into prepping. Casual Preppers. Check them out.
What else did they help you prep with other than just the podcast?
Oh, yeah, with just my everyday life, right? Leading to this kind of podcast. Supplies, toilet paper. I mean, we all experienced the issues during 2020. So that was a mess.
I mean, we've all seen this happen. When supply chains break down. Remember the shortage? They're in the...
Yeah, it was a nightmare. Yeah, we kind of took it for granted, like certain medication, supplements, and even baby formula. They were suddenly became unavailable. So our healthcare system relies on just-in-time delivery, meaning pharmacies do not stockpile large amounts of medication. It's there for disruption. If there is a disruption, shelves quickly empty. I think we all learned that, again, during that time frame. So one real-life example is when cyber attacks have shut down pharmacy networks, leaving thousands of people without access to their prescription. This was in 2021. A ransomware attack hit Scripps Health. This caused system failures that impacted medication distribution. People couldn't refill their prescriptions for days. Now imagine that happening on a larger scale. If you only have a 30-day supply, what happens when refills aren't possible?
For me to answer that question in a few minutes, how about the shortage on toilet paper 2020? That was scary.
Yeah, one thing I learned from that, though, is over time, we stockpiled on that. So we still have that going. So, I mean, we experienced that multiple times over the years, right? Where people would hear something's going to happen and people run out to Sam's and Costco and buy up all the toilet paper, and it's not even a major event or nothing like that's going to happen. So it's always good to be prepared. But as you see, people buy, what was it, that one lady that we saw on news where she bought how many carts full, 5 carts full or more of toilet paper. The whatever little event didn't happen, and she's outside trying to return all the toilet paper.
Yes. Keeping a 90-day supply of your essential medications gives you peace of mind and a safety net for your unexpected shortages.
Yes, this is especially crucial for conditions like high blood pressure, diabetes, asthma, or thyroid disorders, where missing doses could lead to serious health problems. The same applies to supplements. If you rely on magnesium for muscle cramps, probiotics for gut health, or adaptogens for stress, you don't want to run out when you need them the most. So prepping isn't about fear, it's about being proactive. Just like when you store extra food and water for emergencies, having a medical stockpile ensures that your health isn't compromised when systems fail. The best time to prepare is before you need it. And talking on that, how many of us were not prepared before 2020?
Not many of us. I don't think none of us were ready. That's why we had the shortages to begin with. I feel like if most of us were semi-prepared, wouldn't all be freaking out, trying to look for the last case of water, hunting down the Sam's Club employees, waiting for them to drop a new skid of water just for people to go crazy, arguments just to take one case. It was scary times.
Yeah, I mean, just think how we are on a daily basis when you go to the store and you're shopping for like herbs or, taco seasoning, and you go in the store and there's no taco seasoning. It's like, well, what are we going to do now? So it's like, it's not just specific to toilet paper, right? Or bottles of water. There's a lot of times you want to keep stock. I think me, and especially my daughters and stuff too, have because of this, I keep a lot of stock on a lot of stuff, even on a computer side. Do we have enough cables in case this cable goes out? Sometimes you don't have time 24 hours for Amazon to even deliver. I need to replace this now. So there's a lot of things I keep in stock now. I think I learned a lot from that process in 2020 to, is it a adapter for a computer? Is it another Wi-Fi card? Is it a bottle of D3 because I ordered D3 and the supplement provider now, their back storage on their back stock and they don't have it and it's not going to be available for 2 to 3 weeks. And then I'm crabby now because I don't have D3.
Exactly. One of the biggest things that I stock at my house, especially the fact that I have 3 boys, are batteries. I want to say I have a packet of just about every size ever made, from the big D batteries to the C batteries to the double A's, triple A's, even the little square ones. I have the boys, and they get any random time, either their remote need batteries, a specific brain that they haven't used in over a year is out of batteries, so I need to be prepared for that. But along with that, I also have my own flashlights as well that, if they do need batteries, I know for a fact that I have that in, I guess I could say at arm's reach.
Yeah, because you made up a good point by bringing up batteries, because same like in our vehicles, we keep those emergency lights. They take batteries and, like strobe lights. And same thing, a lot of these batteries you need to replace yearly, but there are batteries out there that have a shelf life of, 5-10 years. So cheap batteries, right, might last a year. They're in a drawer for a year. You go to use them, they last, 3 days. So you have to keep track of the dates on your battery and stuff like that too. But look for those batteries that have the 5-10 year shelf life, especially when it comes to prepping.
Yeah, batteries for me at my house, like it's very random when I have all of them at the same time. It's rather, I might have all of them except for a double A battery pack that I would have to go and get, and just to replace it. And I don't know if the boys know, like, hey, my dad got new batteries. Let's go ahead and replace whatever we need now while he has them available.
Yeah, batteries are a big one. You guys use rechargeable too at times?
No, we have not. And I know, like, it would be wise for me to do that, especially for the boys, but that's something that I have not even considered. Just the simple fact that I'd rather have them ready to go and not find out I never charged this battery, so it's like now I'm out of batteries and I haven't charged anything. So I think for me, in my mindset, is just still buying new and storing them. But I know eventually I will go to the rechargeable ones for when it comes to the boys' remote and play systems.
Yeah, like I use rechargeable for like house decor stuff that, lights that come on and off all night long that are I just know I have to just charge and replace like every week or every 2 weeks versus using up batteries that it'd go by so quick. But yeah, and a lot of those rechargeables aren't as strong as a regular battery. So that's the other downside to those. But again, the other downside too, like you mentioned, is making sure they're charged, because there have been many times where one of our candle lights. I was like, oh man, it's dim. I got to change these batteries out. I go to get the rechargeables and they're dead because I didn't plug in the charger. So yeah, that's a good point there. And two, just again, based on prepping, keep batteries on hand. You never know when you need them when it comes to flashlights or, a battery powered radio for communications and so forth.
And even for some medical equipment, if you have a loved one at home that, is in a medical condition, the lights go off, the power goes on, you at least have that stockpile of batteries. I know a lot of these at-home machines or even in the hospitals, they have like a certain runtime built into them. So it gives them enough time for it to kick into the for the generator.
Yeah, that's one thing I don't have. What I would like to have is a generator at some point. The downside is they're so noisy. So it's like you want to get a generator, but you wake up your whole neighborhood.
Well, the whole generator situation when we saw that ice storm that hit Texas, was it 2 years?
Yeah, the one. Yeah, the one that was by like Austin and all that area.
That affected them really bad, and it's like that's when a couple of builders that I follow on Instagram, they were lucky enough that the minute the power went down, their generator kicked on, and they were the only light in the neighborhood. And it's just kind of scary because you don't think stuff like this may happen or will happen until it does.
Yeah. Have you ever thought about like what do you do though? Like I think most people when they're prepping, they don't think about like medications and supplements. They're thinking about just water, food, right? I guess that's where we're trying to come in with this too. Is like there's definitely things that are needed, and then people do have to take consideration to this stuff. Because think of all the people right now too that are in the hospitals. So what do you do if the power grid goes down? How do you supply them with medication? Like what are our hospitals prepared?
I really hope so. I really hope they have a pretty nice generator that kind of kicks on and powers up the whole building all over.
Yeah, because we know for the most part, I think they have generators and stuff. But what's their stockpile on medications and stuff? And those, what happens when a family member gets released from the hospital that's, has certain medical conditions? Do they get the right amount of medications in case something happens, or are those people prepared? Example, cousin leaves the hospital and he has whatever medical conditions, going through cancer treatment, whatever. Is their doctor telling them, hey, just be prepared for this because, their body's very sensitive and stuff. Make sure if they're plugged in this oxygen machine that there's a battery backup or, just anything like that. Or they're on IV at home, how's that working out and who's doing that work? And what happens, you have at-home nurses that come to the house. What happens if there is some kind of major attack in the world and things get shut down? Is that nurse still going to show up? So it's a lot of things to take into account. People don't think about it until it happens.
I agree. Now, just to kind of get back to all this that we're into at the moment, I know not all medications are created equal when it comes to prepping. Some are life-saving, while others can be managed with natural alternatives. So, what should we all focus?
Well, first, critical daily medication. So suppose you take blood pressure meds, diabetes medication like insulin or metformin, or thyroid medication like levothyroxine. In that case, you need to have a supply that lasts at least 3 months. So missing dosages can lead to serious health complications. Second, think about medications that manage chronic conditions, asthma inhalers, allergy meds, antidepressants, and anxiety prescriptions should also be included. If you rely on the EpiPen, make sure you have backups. And this is an expensive option right there because EpiPens right now, I think, are going for like $1,300, outside of insurance. And so you have to really kind of work with your insurance to see if they could cover multiple EpiPens. Or that's just a big one there because I know they're very expensive. So how do you have those on backup? But if you're, very allergic to things, you live in a environment where there's a lot of bees, you're allergic to bees, you have one EpiPen, but what happens, once that runs out? Are you going to get one in time before you drive, hundreds of miles or wherever you need to go, or you're on vacation?
No. For us, by the grace of God, I'm glad none of my family, my my wife and my kids, like none of us till this day are allergic to anything like that, to a bee sting. And any no peanut allergies that I know of. But still, it's just like having the EpiPen. If having an EpiPen is save somebody else's life and you had one on you, even though you don't need it for you or your family, that could make a huge difference.
Oh yeah, especially in that prepping community, right? A lot of people stay together and talk and plan stuff out. And two, like your fellow neighbors, they might not have this product, but they have a severe allergy. Would you be there for them? So yeah, no, it all makes sense. And I was reading, like, wife and my youngest haven't ever been stung by a bee. My eldest, she's been stung so many times, but I've been stung a few times, so I know us two are okay. But the other two, I read before that it's not the first bee sting you usually get allergic to. It's the second and third. So if you've been stung one time and you think you don't have an allergy, that's not always true. So it could be the second sting where you swell up and can't breathe.
And just not knowing this information and getting stung the second time, like, no, it's okay. I'm all right. And then all of a sudden you're just swelling up, not knowing what's happening.
Yeah. And I mean, there's stories about it. And if you remember from the fire department where somebody got stung by the bee and they made it just in time to the ambulance to shove a tube down their throat before they swelled up, and couldn't breathe. So there's things when you're in that situation, you got to do whatever it takes to survive. But let's not get to that situation. So keep extra, again, asthma inhalers on hand, allergy meds, antidepressants, anxiety prescriptions, blood pressure pills, thyroid, diabetes medication, all stuff to think about and talk to your doctor about. So the third one would be emergency medications. While antibiotics shouldn't be stockpiled recklessly, it's worth having a small supply for situations where getting a doctor isn't possible. You can talk to your doctor about a backup prescription for common infections.
Now, what about the over-the-counter medic?
Yeah, and how many people live on these things, right?
I take a cold and sinus anytime, just because I haven't found the right allergy medicine. It's on its way, so hopefully by Monday, any time after Monday, I should be receiving my nasal spray for the seasonal allergies, and I'll give everybody an update to see if they work as how I want it to work, and then I could give my recommendation.
Yeah, because the thing too about over-the-counter stuff is so many people take these on a daily basis because, hip issues, your physician say take ibuprofen. But again, that possibly lead to different issues in your gut and stuff like that too. So people take so much kind of over-the-counter stuff without thinking about the consequences. It's definitely good to have on hand. So again, it's a good point to bring up about over-the-counter medications, but you'll want to make sure you do have pain relievers, antihistamines, antidiarrheal meds, and electrolyte packets. This can be just as crucial as emergency as prescriptions. So again, if your health depends on it, you have hip pain all the time, you have all these knee pains, and you just take on ibuprofen, what would you do? Something happens and you can no longer get ibuprofen for 4 weeks, 3 weeks. Or you just can't leave the house for what we saw in 2020. Couldn't leave the house, couldn't go into certain stores, they were down or they didn't have it on hand. And you're used to, for your knee pain or hip pain, utilize an ibuprofen or acetaminophen. What do you do in that situation, right? Some people are on prescription pain pills. What do you do if you no longer have that pain pill? Can you survive? So think of that, way beforehand. Because again, most people don't think about medications or supplements or over-the-counter stuff. And when they run out, then they go to the store. And I know based on budget constraints, sometimes it's hard to buy extra stock or it just doesn't come to mind, but it's something we do need to have to think about. Like, speaking on that, do you have extra on hand when it comes to everything?
I always stock up on supplements for the same reasons. But you go into more details on supplements.
Yeah, and just another thing on there, if your health depends on it, you should have extra on hand. Work with your doctor to get extended prescriptions and check with your insurance provider, which many will cover at least 90-day supplies if you ask. And again, there may be some providers that do not offer, or if you go from 30-day to 90-day, you have to do it via the mail prescription or the mail kind of order for prescriptions. I know certain pharmacies will say, oh no, we only do a 30-day supply. But you could go through your insurance with another provider and they'll mail you a 90-day supply. So again, work with your medical doctor, and insurance provider to see if you could at least get a 90-day supply. So when it comes to supplements that we should have, supplements play a huge role in keeping your body strong, especially when it comes to medical access is limited. While they can't replace prescriptions, they can support your health and serve as a backup and when you're running low on medication. And a lot of people don't know this. They just think you have prescriptions that you need to stay on that prescription. Sometimes those alternatives, natural alternatives. For example, magnesium helps regulate blood pressure. Berberine supports blood sugar control. This is useful for diabetics. And omega-3, which help reduce inflammation. If you take prescription medication for a condition, research natural alternatives that might help in case your meds run out. So again, a lot of people do not know, that berberine helps support blood sugar. Or again, magnesium helps regulate blood sugar and helps with muscle cramps. Same, omega-3s to help reduce inflammation. And most people reach for ibuprofen for reducing inflammation. Before now knowing this, right? That's the first thing you reach for, right?
That's what I would reach for. I would always go to it because I had it right there. I had it right there in my lunchbox. But now, eating habits and me taking my supplements, I don't get those like, oh, I have a headache, let me go for a 10. No, it's just one of those things. It's like, all right, let me just drop a little bit or not a little bit, but some electrolytes into my water and then just take it as a regular, take it as a regular pill and then just continue walking on my work day. And you could just feel the headache just kind of slowly going away. And just meaning that because I was dehydrated.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize too how important electrolytes are. Like electrolytes contain a lot of different supplements in there, like magnesium, calcium, potassium. So the electrolytes are big to have on hand, especially if so many people are drinking like you're walking so much. And if you're just drinking regular water, you're going to get pretty dehydrated, right?
That water is not enough. So like when I started, taking even fruit to work, taking watermelon and like cucumbers, adding Celtic salt to my water, taking in more electrolyte, I felt I was able to kind of be able to leave work in a 95 temp day, sunny, sweating, and I would be okay. I would still have energy to go. Before, I would just be beyond exhausted, going home, trying to take a nap in the AC and, calling it a day. But as long as you're taking care of yourself and taking care of your body, it will repay you back with giving you more energy.
Yeah. So it's one of those things that we need to focus on. Like people need to learn more about electrolytes. People need to learn making sure they're increasing their water intake, trying to stay away from sugar. And that goes with prepping and stuff too. An emergency situation, are you going to reach just for junk food? I know one of the things when it comes to prepping, one of the things I've done is I ordered many high calorie protein bars.
Okay.
So they have, I want to say one protein bar has like 3,000 calories. So the perfect thing is like, it's perfect for sharing with family because you could just break little pieces off. And if it's a major event that happens in the world and you don't have no heat, power, nothing for a week, and you can't make any meals, you don't have no gas, what are you going to do, right? Maybe start a fire and try to open up a can of beans or do something like that. But you could also reach for one of these pre-made bars, 3,000 calories. It's something like that. I don't remember exactly, but just break a piece off, and at least long as we have, 800 calories a day to survive on, that's what I'm going to do,
Hey, remember when vitamin C was impossible to find in 2020? If you rely on a certain supplement for your health, make sure you have enough every month.
Yep. Beyond that, you may want to stockpile vitamin D3, K2, and vitamin C for immunity, zinc and probiotics for gut health, electrolyte powders for hydration, ashwagandha and rhodiola for stress management. So again, just like medication, supplements can also stock when demand spikes. Like 2020 was one of those times where, again, like we said, nobody was prepared. So since then, like, do you look at the world differently?
It's more just trying to figure out planning dinners ahead of time, picking up on food now, what could be frozen, what has a longer shelf life. just to kind of be prepared. A lot of like almost kind of like dry food as far as like soup and just simple meals that don't require a faster shelf life expiration.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't know too, because growing up, I always heard, well, my mom would always have like tons of cans of soup in the cabinet, and you go in there, and I look at it, I was like, man, this thing's like 8 years old. Like, why are you keeping this? And for me, I would look at that, I was like, I'm not eating that. It's 8 years old. But she would open it up, eat it like nothing at all, and she's like, soup will last forever. It's canned, right? There's no air in it.
And just to think that when we were kids, we would go into the pantry and see a can of like peaches, and it's like that's not what I want. I want junk food. And even now, it's like for us going into our pantries, looking at a can of peaches or pineapple, that's good for you, Especially now, the ones that are coming out that are just in their natural juice versus like that they add other additive sugars to it.
Oh yeah, with all the junk stuff. That's all I survived. I mean, that was my childhood. My life until I kind of learned health when I got a little older was, man, I would just eat so many frozen pizzas and, frozen meals. The Hormel can of chili, But now it's like get older, get married and stuff. Now I eat actually like home cooked meals, from scratch. So it's a big difference. Especially people need to look at those cans and see sodium and stuff content, not to just go down a different path here, but there are still certain things. If it's an emergency situation, you eat anything. And even if it's a can of soup that's 10 years old and has, 2,000 grams of sodium in it, milligrams of sodium in it, you're going to reach for that. So, but it's stuff to think about when you're stockpiling stuff. And we saw it, like we're talking like 2020, right? So you have frozen meals. I was doing a lot with Trifecta, taking those frozen meals and stuff like that. And it's good to meal prep. That's another thing you got to do too. Meal prep, you're not wasting money. You're buying meat. You could freeze meat for, I don't know exactly how long, but a few years, I think, right? You could freeze a lot of meat as long as it's frozen. And same with prescription medications, you have to be more leery about, which we'll talk more later on those dates, such as like liquid medication could turn into poison in, so many months if you just keep it versus if it's in, capsule pill form. So a lot of stuff have expiration dates or best used by dates, but it doesn't always mean they expire. And like supplements, and I think we may touch on it later too in listener questions, but supplements, they may have a best use date of 1 year. And a lot of times they're still good for 2 years at 100% potency. And after that, it's like, I think it's something like 5% a year or something, it degrades. So again, if that's the case, I'm not exactly sure if it was 5% or what, but just around that ballpark number, if there's many times I look in a cabinet and have magnesium that's like 3 years old. The first thing I want to do is I look at it and I was like, I'll throw this out. Then more and more research would, say, okay, if it's 500 milligrams, now it might only be, 475 milligram based on potency because of the date. So it's something, again, if I have supplements in the cabinet, years go by, we're power outage, whatever, I'm going to utilize those supplements. And I would tell my family and friends, hey, you have it there, still take it, right? So it's, I don't know, supplements are a staple part of my life, right? Same with, there's some prescription stuff out there people have to take. If it runs out, do they have the money to buy new, or can they use that old prescription? Again, always work and talk to a pharmacist or your your practitioner, to your physician, to kind of go over, hey, this is this many years old. Should I take it, get new? Can you get that prescription refilled? And go from there. But yeah, so you keep ibuprofen and stuff on hand. Any other over the counter?
Other than that, for like the kids' medicine, like I have a fever, I have the time, I have ibuprofen. But other than that, it's like for myself, just the supplements. I don't take any heavy medication. So I am, I'm thankful that I don't need any of that at the moment. So as of right now, it's just, just my basic supplements that I have, that I take at nighttime and then take my multi. But these are stockpiles that I'm doing on my own. So if, a family member goes over the house, I'm okay with sharing with what I have for them to see if they can notice a difference, for themselves, and then they might be interested in as well getting themselves their own supplements.
Yeah, I know sometimes it's like talking to a wall to where we tell people, hey, you're sick all the time. You should take some vitamin C, and they don't want to take vitamin C. But then we had 2020 come around, and then people are really sick with this virus that was out. And then all of a sudden, hey, we want vitamin C now, and now we can't get it anywhere. So it's like, let's be prepared. I wish people would listen more and buy more, but it's sometimes it's a tough sell. Again, if you're not sick, a lot of people don't want to spend the money on it, but in the future, we want to get them to on the right path. So again, think about your prescriptions, think about supplements, and and then continuing on. A solid health focused prepper plan includes more than just medication and supplements. You also need water, food, and basic medical supplies.
Now, if someone is new to prepping, where should they try to start?
I would say start with at least a water supply. The rule of thumb is 1 gallon per person for at least 2 weeks. How about that? Do you have a good amount of water saved up?
I have, let's see, I have an extra gallon for my coffee machine, and I have 2 distilled gallons inside the house at all times for my humidifier. So if there's ever a disaster, I have water in the house. But, it's not prioritized to a stockpile per se exactly for us, but it's for the coffee machine, and it's for the humidifier. But if I need it, I'll take it.
Yeah, I always try to keep at least 10 packs of like those Walmart, the Ice Mountain water with like the 36 bottles. Yeah, I try to do at least 10 packs of those and not use them. And we kind of rotate them out. So we'll use up 2 and then replace, 3. So we kind of have a little more. Then I'll still order other water bottles. I try to do reverse osmosis as much as possible. Outside of that, we'll have the water bottles for emergencies. And I did buy not too long ago those collapsible gallon jugs. I'm not sure if you saw those. They're pretty cheap. I ordered 5. So if I know emergencies coming, that I could fill those up with, say, sink water and stuff like that. And, hey, again, a shout goes out to casual preppers for giving some good ideas. But again, you need water. There is water in the back of your toilet bowl in case emergency. You have water. If there's going to be a situation, you want to fill up your bathtub with water. Could use that for drinking. And a lot of our bathtubs are, 30, 40, 50, 60 gallon tubs. So again, fill it up with the tap water. I mean, it's not that we want you to drink tap water. Emergency situation, you'll do whatever it takes to survive. So definitely fill up your bathtub, fill up your sinks, all that. So you can use that as drinking, cooking water and stuff like that. So again, start initially a water supply. And again, that rule of thumb is 1 gallon per person per day for at least 2 weeks. And many of us don't drink 1 gallon of water a day. We're supposed to. But I mean, think of that. Like you're walking and stuff. Do you drink 1 gallon in a day? It's hard to drink sometimes.
For me, walking in extreme heat, it is easier for me. I would finish my whole. I have a gallon that I take to work every day that I fill up at the house. But yeah, like I will go through it, and then I would just go to our whatever restroom area that I go to, and then they'll have like a nice clean water. Well, at least I think it's clean, like a water dispenser, and then I'll refill it up either halfway or all the way to the 1 gallon mark. So, but yeah, it's and in, for situations like that, I always, like I said before, I like to throw in some Celtic salt in there just to kind of replace my electrolytes that I know that I'm just sweating out.
Yeah, especially in your situation, especially with summer coming up, you're gonna be drinking a lot of water.
I will be like, this will probably be the year that I'll be the most prepared by taking the perfect amino electrolytes. That's what I'm not sure why I'm so excited to try them out this year to see if I notice a difference, because I've been carrying now for 9 years, so now going forward I want to see what different things I'm doing for me to survive during the day.
Yeah, it's different when you take a new health perspective and analyze, like, man, I was doing this wrong, or I wasn't doing this. I think for the most part, it's not that we always do things wrong. It's, based on education, we're always learning. I'm learning daily from other people. So got to keep an open mind and always figure how to heal your body yourself. It's your individual body. Only you know your body. So do not expect to go to a physician and say, my knee hurts and your back's healed. So, and a lot of times, again, physicians focus based on treating the symptom. So you need to, again, know your body and know what you need to do and where you need to take it. So don't hesitate, again, to reach out, even if you have any questions on this prepping stuff and just health questions in general. So without proper hydration, medication and supplements won't work as effectively. And a lot of people don't know that either. A lot of people, and sometimes I'm guilty of it too, where for me, I could take a couple of supplement pills and drink it with one gulp of water. And my wife, for her to take one multivitamin, takes like a whole bottle of water to swallow a multivitamin. So a lot of times I'll say, a quick gulp. I took, 4 supplements, my D, zinc, magnesium, omega-3. I took that, and then I'm not thirsty. I didn't drink anything else. And then later on, I might develop a migraine or something like that. And it's because of that, because some things could be kind of overwhelm your liver. And a lot of times that's because you're not drinking enough, not enough going through your kidneys and stuff too. So you want to kind of clean yourself out. So next, you want to stock up on nutrient-dense foods like canned proteins, nuts, seeds, dried fruits to maintain energy levels. And I know that's one of the things you talked about on previous podcasts is a lot of times you use, nuts and seeds and stuff, dried fruits for energy, right, while you're working.
And one of my ultimate favorite would have to be pumpkin seeds. That is like my top. It would be probably pumpkin seeds, pistachios, cashews, walnut. The top of the food chain, I guess the top of the nut chain for me would be pumpkin seeds.
Yeah, because the seeds have a lot of great nutritional values in them. One issue I have is I try not to eat a lot because, especially when it comes to I love cashews, I love pistachios and stuff. I just notice because they contain a lot of fat. I notice when I have, it turns into like an addiction, right? So you take a handful, man, this was good. I want another handful. And then by the time it's done, I was like, that week I gained 8 pounds, 7 pounds because I was eating nuts. So it's like, okay, I got to really limit the nuts I eat. So I try not to eat them unless I, really, it's a good snack and I'm out or something, or just eat them in moderation. Just, here's a quick small handful and I'm good.
There's one that I don't want to get, and I don't know why I never buy it. You recommended it to me as well. Is it the Brazilian nut?
Yeah, Brazilian nuts are good.
That's the one I want to try. I've never tried it. I've never had it. So I'll give you all an update whenever that happens.
Yeah, Whole Foods, man. They have those things where all the nut containers and stuff are.
It's true. Do they have a machine to make peanut butter there?
Yes.
I have not. I saw it on the video, and I was just curious to see how that works in person. So.
Yeah, I love peanuts, but the issue I have with peanuts lately, and a lot of times we were talking in previous episodes about sensitivities. I took sensitivity tests. I didn't really have a reaction to peanuts. I did with almonds, and I know almonds, after eliminating for a while, if I try almond, it causes a migraine. But I realized over the last year, I love peanut. I love peanut butter. I love peanut flavored stuff. When I eat anything like that, I get a migraine within hours. So now I know I don't have an allergy to peanuts, but there's something that still triggers in my body for peanuts. So it just goes on that thing. Besides prepping, you need to know what you're not going to have a reaction to. So you definitely don't want to order something and, hope that, hey, you know what, this emergency situation, I ordered this bulking protein powder that's just sitting on a shelf that has a few years life, or, the prepper food that has a 25-year life, and you take that food and you have allergic reaction to it. So you don't want to find out you have allergic reaction to it when you can't get to a hospital.
Would suck. That would suck for you. Spend the money on something that you think it may or may not work, and then just to figure out, hey, I spent $100 on gigantic type of whatever, say peanut butter protein or something, and you're sensitive to it. Maybe 2-3 shakes in.
Yeah, and just talking about that too, how many of us have wasted money on prescriptions, antibiotics, supplements because we thought, like supplement, hey, I mean, not supplement, but prescription, they call you in this antibiotic for amoxicillin. You get home, you try amoxicillin, now you got hives all over your body. And I mean, amoxicillin now I think is free with insurance, but just say you had to pay $10 for that. And now they call you another prescription. Now you're paying another $10 for whatever prescription. So it's like, now in the future not to get amoxicillin. The same you need to do with supplements, the same you need to do with prepping. Just buy stuff you won't have a reaction to. And now's the time to try stuff out. And, hey, that, like I said, that high protein bar, test it out. See, take a little small bite, no issues. Okay, well, emergency situation comes, this is something I'll take. But yeah, that's something I'll send you to, Geraldo, on just different things I did prep on, and like that protein bar and stuff like that too.
Yeah. Well, just to touch base on the amoxicillin, I want to say I said it in the previous episode, that messes up my lining for my stomach. And it's like, I could take it I think it's it's day and night. And I think by night 3, that's when I get like a lot of discomfort, stomach pain. But lately I've been doing my research, and oil of oregano, it's one of the best, my train of thought, but just to,
Your thought just went away, just like it's the strength of oregano. No, it's good. It's good for gut bacteria. It kills bad bacteria. It kills parasites. Well, it's supposed to kill parasites. It at least helps go down that route.
Yeah, but that's just that is my replacement for that specific medicine. It's just because to fight infections, but instead of taking a prescription, I would recommend anybody taking the oil of oregano. I don't want to say there's a warning, but if you take those 3-4 drops, you might be breathing fire, but after a while you start getting used to it, or you could just dilute it in water or whatever juice you want.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you dilute it, kind of like apple cider vinegar. Have you ever tried that without water, or tried it in general?
I tried it. I tried it, and it's like, yeah, it goes down a little, you will make a face. You will need a chaser of water right after that.
I was going to say that'd be a good joke to play on somebody. Here, taste this. Yeah. Right, it's like those beans or those.
The bamboozle.
Yeah.
Till this day, I have not. I think I've only had 1 or 2, but I that is one game I refuse to play with my kids. I just don't. I don't want to find out that I had the vomit one or just any other random one.
Yeah, stuff's so disgusting. But same, apple cider vinegar has a lot of useful, it's a lot of beneficial uses. And if you try it pure, I mean, it's good for like thrush. It's good for different things like that. You could read online about stuff where people use apple cider vinegar, but same with helping with their gut bacteria and stuff. It's supposed to be helpful. So yeah, there's a lot of times I'll try it, take a teaspoon of that, and then it's like, man, it helps. They say clean like your gums and stuff too. So like swish it around in your mouth and stuff too. But
now, would you prefer an apple cider vinegar or a kombucha drink?
Oh, I don't even do kombucha either, because some fermented food really affect people's bodies. Like for me, fermentation is bad with like if you have bacterial overgrowth and you take that, it'll just cause more overgrowth. So again, there's I remember when that craze where everybody was doing that, buying those, and, oh, you need to do this, and then you see more and more uptake in cases where people were having more bacterial overgrowth or stomach pain, or it leading to thrush and stuff. So just again, don't blindly follow people, do research. So don't just see somebody on TikTok that's selling some product, or, hey, you should buy this because I said so. It's like, well, I'm going to do my research. So just regardless where the information is coming from, still do your own research. So the other thing people should do is make sure they have a first aid kit. So do you have a first aid kit?
In the family SUV and inside of the house. Remember, 3 boys, any cut, they require a Band-Aid.
Yeah, same. My youngest and Band-Aids, I mean, we go through a box all the time. So I remember for a long time, I had a medic kit in my SUV, And I remember it got so hot and came out there and everything was exploded in that kit. So the creams were all over. Like, it was a mess. I had to just throw the whole bag away. And that's, $400.
And at that point, you might as well just replace the brand. It was time for it to get replaced.
Yeah. And that touches on another subject. So I'll touch on this. So your first aid kit should include bandages, wound care supplies, fever reducers, and thermometer. If you take daily medications, consider a locked, temperature-controlled container for safe storage. Some medications like insulin require refrigeration, so think about battery-powered coolers for backup storage. Another thing you need to think about, too, is not just your first aid kit in your house, but first aid kit in your vehicle. And same, again, these prescriptions, if you're bringing them in your vehicle and stuff, again, insulin, you need some kind of cooler, medications, too. But in that first aid kit, as long as you have that in your car, again, if it's an emergency situation, you're driving down the highway, somebody has a headache, can you reach for a fever? Can you reach for a fever reducer like acetaminophen or ibuprofen? But same, it's like a lot of us don't think about keeping these things in our vehicles too.
Honestly, we don't. And we're prepping for next week. I go on vacation, so just taking out the boys to several museums. But this is something that I should definitely even think about, because if we're out in Chicago in a museum and for whatever reason one of them gets a fever, I'm not gonna want to go to a Walgreens, especially in Chicago, to buy an overpriced medicine when I know I have everything with me that I can just reduce that fever even on the way home, because it would suck to have a fever and you an hour and a half drive.
Yeah, it's, again, we don't usually think about this. Same with the fire extinguisher, but emergency situation scenario, you're in Chicago, God forbid there's a terrorist attack. You can't get home now for, a day, 2 days. You're locked up in some building. Not that you're hostage, but you're just locked up because traffic's closed down in the city. Everything's on lockdown. They're doing their investigation. You can't leave. What do you do? Do you have anything on you? That's where, people talk about the everyday carry stuff. You have a knife, you have maybe a flashlight. What do you keep on you in a case of a situation? Does your wife have bandages in the purse? Hey, you're walking down the street, somebody attacks you, you can't, no cops around, you call 911, phone's not going through. Do you have Band-Aids or wound care supplies in your wife's purse? Same, the ibuprofen in there. So it's all things we do not think about until maybe something happens to us. So again, in advance, be prepared, and think about these different scenarios, because God forbid something does happen, you want to be prepared. You don't want to find out the last minute that.
And some might call you paranoid, and some might call you, hey, you're at least ahead of it. If it happens, you already know how to prepare. And pretty much just stay prepared. That's
like the good thing again about bringing up like casual preppers. I like their show. They're funny guys, but on there too, there's different talks they do in based on different scenarios. A nuclear attack, what do you do? Is your house prepared? Outside of, you got to think like, if there's radiation and stuff out there, what do you do? Do you have iodine in stock for helping with radiation poisoning? Like, I definitely keep that on stock. Iodine tabs, you can buy them on Amazon. It's just like that. Again, same. If there's an attack like that, where are you going to get supplements or prescription from? Right? It's radiation outside. You can't leave your house. So it's not like you're going to be able to go to the pharmacy and pick something up. And at that event, is pharmacy have anything in stock? The store's closed. People are at home taking care of their families. They don't want to be working at Target at that time.
I mean, unless you're a postal worker, like how we were essential to the community. So during the pandemic, we were still out there. Okay.
Not Newman. Newman never met more than like 30% of his route completed.
Yeah, that guy never delivered it.
Yeah, I mean, Jerry got like 95% score, and they knew it wasn't Newman. So yeah, just again, stay prepared, and the new life we live in. So you have opportunity to be prepared. So now it's the time to take advantage of just what we're talking about here. Again, these are different scenarios and stuff that could happen. I mean, this is a different world we live in. We see things happening overseas. Thankfully, we do not live in those other countries where they're daily getting bombed and stuff like that too. So what happens if something happens here? The same things like, how will your kids respond in an emergency situation? Like, do they know where the supplements will be? Will they know how to get ibuprofen? Like, you can't make it home where they're at school, you're picking them up. Like, people don't realize besides, I mean, I know we're talking about health and medicine and stuff, but the prepping side, you got to have an action plan with your family too. Like, I know we talked about your son. If something happens at his school and I live close by, he knows where to go. Same thing. Do other people out there have that plan? Or, yeah, you need that backup plan. But also, do you have like your friends' phone numbers? So that's one of the things, right? Do your kids have any other?
I'm not sure. Well, my oldest has a phone, and in this generation, the only phone number that I know by heart is my wife's. That's the only one, and that's pretty sad because when I was in middle school, I think I memorized just about everybody's number, but now phones make it too easy for us, and when all that goes down, that's when people, kind of realize, these things were never meant to help us. They're leaving us behind.
Yeah, it's, again, we just, God forbid something bad happened, but we did see what happened in 2020, and that was bad enough, and nobody was prepared. So if that was, if that was now, are people still not prepared? I mean, I have extra toilet paper. I have, certain things, water on hand and stuff too, but there's going to be things I do not have. No one's perfect. No one has an unlimited budget unless you're like maybe Elon or, Mark Zuckerberg or something where you have a bunker, but I'm sure those are stockpiled with everything. But there are different places you could get, online prescription stuff through outside your physician, Jace Medical, stuff like that. There are places out there for it. But again, you want to keep supplements on hand the same way. So if you order D3, maybe order, 3 bottles instead of 1, and just rotate your stock. So as soon as you're 1 bottle short on that D3, you replenish your stock and go from there. As you saw with my cabinets, I have a lot of stock.
And mine are right there, right behind yours. Like it's not hand in hand, but we have just about every supplement that anybody could think of just for us to try it, and as well for a recommendation to anybody. But that's kind of, I'd rather try it myself before I even suggest it or recommend it to anybody going forward.
Yeah, for sure.
But I would say this: by preparing properly, you're ensuring that you and your family can stay healthy and self-sufficient in any situation.
Yeah, 100%, man. It's a different world we live in. You see look at world news, all these cyber attacks taking place. Again, 2021, that one cyber attack shut down all the pharmacies. And I think there was another one that occurred not too long ago, and the pharmacies were down for like a week, or they couldn't process certain prescriptions and stuff because of the supply chain issue, and their systems down. So like we're seeing with all these airports, right? Airport planes were shut down for a while because their system went down. Supposedly they weren't hacked, but their system went down and nobody was flying for a couple of days. So you just got to be prepared. So on to another note, we'll go on to, we have additional 10 listener question and answers. Listener question 1, can I ask my doctor for a 90-day supply of medication? So again, most insurance companies allow 90-day refills for maintenance medications, but you may need to request it. When speaking with your doctor, explain that you may need to avoid gaps in medication due to travel, weather disruptions, or supply chain issues. If your insurance only covers 30 days at a time, ask if they provide emergency supply or if there's a cash pay option for additional dosages. And a lot of times too, where your insurance is only going to cover the prescription, say for that 30, 90 days, but you might have multiple refills to where sometimes if it is inexpensive, you could say, okay, insurance is covering a 90-day supply and I'm going to pay cash for another 90-day supply. So sometimes you have that opportunity if you have additional refills in there. So again, talk to your physician.
Is it illegal to stockpile prescription medication? The FDA requires medications to be prescribed for legitimate medical use. and the pharmacies follow strict refill guidelines. However, many chronic condition medication allow 90-day supply, which is a approved way to ensure you to have what you need. Work with legal guidelines by getting doctor's approval using licensed pharmacists.
Yeah, agree. Because you see a lot of people now try to buy stuff illegally when they could just go to their physician or buy supplements naturally. So again, do research, reach out to the proper, certified licensed people. So can expired medications still be used in emergencies? So we kind of touched on this. The FDA states that expiration dates indicate when medications may start losing potency, not necessarily when they become unsafe. However, some medications like insulin and certain antibiotics should not be used past expiration. If in doubt, consult your pharmacist or doctor. And one of the big ones on there is, I think, like the amoxiclav, the Augmentin, or just any of the mixed medicines or liquids and stuff. I know they don't have a stable shelf life. So again, you might. My mom used to stockpile that stuff and go to her house, when you're older and stuff, and she'd say, "Oh man, my throat hurts." She'll go, "Oh, reach in the cabinet, I have antibiotics." You look at the antibiotic and it's 10 years old. Then you research and found, man, if I would have took that amoxicillin, I would be dead because it's poison. So you got to watch what you're doing. You want to do number 4?
Yeah. How do I safely store extra medication? Store prescription in a cool, dry place, away from sunlight and humidity. Refrigeration is required, etc. Like almost kind of like insulin. I know, my mom's diabetic, so all her insulin always in the fridge. Have a backup power source, like a battery-powered medical cooler. Keep medication in original packaging with label.
Yeah, and the reason you want to do that is, especially you're traveling and stuff, or it's in your vehicle and you get pulled over. Hey, what's all these medications here? So make sure you're keeping it in the bottle it came in.
That right there, that specific word. When I was a volunteer fireman with you, we would tow, whenever we would go to people's houses, we would give them a ride from the ambulance to the hospital, and we would tell them to pack up their medication, and they'll literally have like a pill organizer, and they were all in there. They already knew, they were already prepackaged, so it's like, for us, we didn't know any better. It's like we want to give them a ride to the hospital, but at the same time, it's like we need the original information because that's exactly what they're going to ask for at the hospital. So they would just hand over their medication, their daily medication, already kind of pre-sorted without the original packaging.
Yeah. So shout out to Aurora Township Fire Department for getting us started on this whole medical journey. Yep. So another one is, are there natural alternatives if I run out of medication? So while some supplements may support health, they do not replace prescription medications. For example, berberine may support blood sugar balance, but it's not a substitute for prescribed insulin or metformin. So again, always talk to your healthcare professional before making changes. And you may also be able to talk to your pharmacist too. They may know some of the stuff. But again, when we talk about nutrition, supplements, a lot of physicians are not trained or certified or anything when it comes to nutrition. So keep that in mind. That's why we focus on nutrition here.
What are the most important supplements to have in an emergency? While individual needs vary, general emergency supplements include vitamin D3, K2, and C for immunity, electrolytes for hydration, probiotics for gut health, omega-3, inflammation support, and magnesium, muscle function, and relaxation. Check with your health professional before starting any new supplement.
Listener question number 7, what's the best way to prepare for a pharmacy system outage? And I think we've been kind of, last couple of years having these happen. So it's a good question. Keep an updated list of all medications, kind of like Geraldo talked about from the fire department. And you're transporting the patient. You ask for a list of medications and they give it to you in a pill container, a multiple day pill container with just pills in there. We have no clue what these pills are. So you want to keep a list of all your medications, dosages, and prescribing doctors. And especially a lot of people that have many prescriptions have multiple doctors. So we need to know that information too. Have paper copies of prescriptions in case electronic systems are down. Find out if your pharmacy has backup plan or alternative locations for refills. And I know some doctors have samples on hand for certain prescriptions, so that may be another source. But again, don't wait till the last minute. Reach out to your physician, next doctor's appointment, bring a note so you remember. Because a lot of times when you go meet your physician, you forget what you're there to say, or you get nervous and just your mind goes blank. So write things down in advance before you see your physician. Tell them you want to be prepared just in case, systems are down. If you're at 30-day, you want to switch to at least 90-day. And then some places, can they have something beyond the 90-day? Or can you look and say, okay, well, I have this prescription, but I'm going to use this alternative in case of emergency, like utilizing a supplement. But, okay, number 8.
Can I buy medications online for stock? Only purchase from FDA approved or online pharmacy. Look for the BIPPS seal from the National Association of Board of Pharmacy. Avoid overseas websites selling unregulated medication. These may be counterfeit or unsafe.
Yep, and that's a good one to talk about because a lot of people I see in chat rooms talking about buying testosterone from overseas, black label boxes, have no clue what's in it, or they're buying research materials, research peptides. Again, if you're buying a research testosterone, research peptide, they're not made for human consumption. They're made for inside a research lab. Those are what's used on rats and animals like that to test out stuff. But I see all the time people buying research supplements, and I would never inject myself with some kind of research supplement or take some pill that's a research pill. And it's not even through trial. Like they didn't even look at it. They didn't do anything. It's for a lab. Yeah. But people are doing BPC 157. They bought it for $10 on a line somewhere. They think it's legit. It's research. It's labeled research. They don't care because they don't understand what research means, and they're taking it. So again, I enjoy my life. I enjoy living. I enjoy this day. Thank you, God. So I do not want to put myself at risk. So listener question number 9, how much food and water should I store with my medications? Again, the general guideline is 1 gallon of water per person for at least 14 days. Store nutrient-dense foods in canned proteins, nuts, dried fruits, and whole grains that won't spike blood sugar. Again, you want to still, even though emergency, you still want to focus on health. So if taking medications with food, ensure you have non-perishable options.
For the listener, what should I do if my medication is recalled or unavailable? The FDA regularly announces recalls for quality or contamination.
Contamination, yeah.
If your medication is recalled, contact your doctor immediately or an alternative. If any supply shortages occur, ask about the compounding pharmacies, which may be able to create the same formulation.
Yeah, like a lot of times I utilize a compounding pharmacy. There's good one out of Texas, but they're all over the place. You can find them usually in your local city. They make handmade prescriptions and stuff, supplements. And they could do it based on your needs. They could even make like custom-made toothpaste that you have an allergy to red number 40, and all toothpaste, say, has whatever in it or silica or whatever. You could have a compounding pharmacy make your own version of toothpaste without those certain chemicals in it. So something to think about. But again, as we wrap things up, health preparedness is about proactive planning, not medical treatment. Having essential medications and supplements on hand will help you stay ready for unexpected disruptions while supporting overall well-being. It's key part to a holistic approach to health and self-sufficiency. Our focus is on education and informed decision-making to help you control your health. Preparing in advance ensures that you have what you need when it matters the most. If you're looking for guidance, we provide practical strategies and resources to help you build a reliable health preparedness plan.
Let's do the recap for your action steps for today. Number 1, Call your doctor to request a 90-day supply of essential meds. One key supplement that support. Number 3, store extra water, food, and first aid supply. And the final one, number 4, rotate your stock and stay ahead of the supply chain disruption.
So preparing isn't about panic. It's about being smart and prepared. Start small, build gradually, and make health prepping part of your overall wellness strategy. Reminder, a quick medical disclaimer, this podcast is for informational educational purposes only. We do not diagnose, cure, or treat any illness or disease. Thanks again for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on future episodes. Follow us on social media at mindfulobjective.com. Mindful Objective on social media and mindfulobjective.com on the website for additional resources. And again, on the last podcast, there's a resource hub that has different like healthy shopping list and, different kind of food guides and so forth. So be sure to check it out. mindfulobjective.com/resources. So we appreciate you being here and we'll see you next time. Stay well.